likely dead when he
They were gonna
built
be
the trail.
falling on the park itself, so, and the trails around it, so they had that taken out. Some other things, I don't know if you're really interested,
No, they don't have a wharf under.
the dock, no. Danger trees, we did some falling at Quarry, Buchanan, and CRC. Same thing, all trees that were not habitat trees, just standing, recently dead.
Leaning
trees that
over,
were leaning
basically.
over top of the trails. Athletic Park, that's all cleaned up. The logging show pulled out all of the logs that were stuck into the ground for one of their events. They left a bunch of material up there, that's all been cleaned. Reseeded some of the field that was driven on, planted a tree in one of the holes.
Oh, Pebbly Beach.
Pebbly Beach, yes.
We've talked down Whitehead. You know how many logs are on Pebbly Beach? Have you been down there lately? You can hardly walk down there. There's likely 30 feet of logs. So we're gonna get a machine down there and take them all off up from high tide. So you can, all the kids can actually go down there next summer. We'll haul them up to Quarry Park.
Any plans for Alder Grove Beach?
Alder?
The one that's off Eagle Tree? South End, South Island?
Yeah.
For the logs there? Is that what
Yeah,
you're
it's
saying?
just, it's a lot. I
As
mean,
a-
I don't know how you get
I don't know how
down
you
there.
get a machine down.
I don't know how you would either, frankly. It's,
You have to come from the water.
and it's, I'm sure one of those, just the shape of it just collects
Yeah.
logs naturally. But it's also the case that, man, the beach that's there is only exposed to lower tide because it's all logs. I don't know how you could possibly control it, to be honest.
Yeah, we're gonna try Pebbly Beach first, see how it lasts over the winter.
Yeah.
So we've had Alan Whitehead there to take a look at it. He'll be down to bug us.
Yeah.
So you said you're removing the logs from Pebbly and taking them to Quarry Park?
Yeah, when we have to do our burn with all of our brush, we'll burn them too.
We're taking it up to our work share up there.
Oh, at Veterans Park, not Quarry, not Quarry.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
veterans,
okay.
the work check, sorry. Right, yeah, we can fill in. Oh, sorry about that.
I'm just gonna throw them in the bog.
I know, that's.
That's how it works.
Yeah, it sounded like we're gonna decorate the park.
Drainage in Quarry Park, we did a walkthrough there with Sue Ellen and the gang a while ago. And that's something that we don't need a machine. It's probably just, a couple of guys with some shovels and some rakes, and we can get the water bars cleaned out and whatnot. Not a big deal. Let's see.
Oh. So, there was in the plan, there was a plan for a pit toilet at Veterans Park. But then there was a question mark, Bonnie said, whether she puts it there or some other place.
Well, I think we ended up putting it at Pebble Beach at Cape Roger Curtis. That was,
There is one there,
yeah.
No,
but-
no, this is a new one.
This is another one.
Oh,
a new one, and we want to put it at Pebbly Beach. Because right now we have an outhouse that gets delivered there for the year, and we put up a little screen for it. But we'd like to get a proper pit toilet in there when we do the same log removal and whatnot at the bottom of the hill. So that's something that's-
Did we make a resolution?
We discussed that at some meeting, but I can't remember how it
How
went.
the residents.
I have to look at.
Well, that, we have to go to the residents next, yeah.
Yeah, that was the whole.
I think that was the whole
There's some
thing, even with the
concerns
porta
that-
potty, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was I got a thing from Bonnie before she left, and that was one of the things that she talked about. So,
We had a whole discussion, remember, about pits, toilets
Yeah.
versus.
Yeah, I think we decided.
So recommend a funding of $16,000 be included in the parks budget for a pit toilet or portable toilets, the location and permanence of which will be recommended at a future Parks, Trails and Greenway Advisory Committee. That took place on February 20th.
okay,
And then the Pebbly Beach recommendation was on July 18th.
and what was,
Still put it there?
Pardon?
Does it recommend?
Oh, so on July 18th, we
Yeah.
said that the committee recommend that council, the temporary toilet facilities be installed at Pebbly Beach until September 15th.
yeah, that was the portable.
That's
That
a
was the
portable
short-
one, but I don't know if
short-
that
short-
wasn't the
short.
whole budget, there's still the remaining budget for permanent one. That I think was ever
I don't think we.
commenting on.
We ever came around.
We just
Yeah.
made a short-term decision.
Yeah, that's right.
At stage 3.
I think,
We had
the-
Well, that one was like,
I think the veterans, the idea was that it was, the discussion I recall is that it was, the usage throughout the year isn't enough to make it,
Okay, so
to
we wouldn't
justify
put
it
that.
immediately.
Okay, that's fine.
It might be in the future, but
Yeah.
not.
I agree, I think it's just gonna be a big garbage dump if you put a pit toilet there.
is that money still in the budget though? Is that still?
Yeah.
Okay, so that should go in
Cause I haven't ordered one yet,
Okay.
cause I don't wanna, yeah.
So you're talking about for 2019,
Yeah,
what you'd like to do, so maybe something,
Well, I would buy it in 2018 because it's in the budget, cause if you don't,
It's in the 2018.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
I'm
should
sure
I buy
there'll be a
one
place.
and have it sitting somewhere so that when a decision is made to put it somewhere,
How many toilets? You're saying just one?
just one pit
Just one,
toilet.
okay.
Right.
Well, yeah, I guess
And
that
16,000?
resolution.
What is that?
So, February 20th.
Well, the one at Pebble Beach on Cape Roger Curtis is working well,
yeah.
and, it's a good thing to have.
Mhm.
And beaches are good places to have them because people go for quite a period. of
Yeah,
Yeah.
Constable
Deadly
And they end
Beach
up
is a very
using
popular
facilities of
beach.
some sort. Yeah, it's become one of the most popular, I think.
By far, yeah.
So, something to think about.
Yeah.
We'd like to order
We'll
one.
have to put that
For
on the
next,
list.
for next meeting or something.
And I can find that one
Because then you
information
can
today.
go ahead and buy it.
Got a
and,
couple of months to buy.
Yeah.
Decide
Yeah, the needs perceived, but the location.
where, location is some discussion.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
if you
the-
did buy it now, then you'd get it in before the season started next year, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure how much of a lead time I need to order it, so I'll order it, it'll sit somewhere. Quarry Park, no, I'm just kidding.
It needs the residents around
To-
Headley
to
Beach
agree.
need to be
Yeah,
consulted on that one.
but that's,
That one's already done. That one counts.
no, that was just a
It's
temporary, that's
But it's
the
every year. isn't
porta
it?
potty, yeah.
Yeah.
Renewal.
But the discussion we had was whether it was more economical to go with a permanent pit toilet than putting a porta potty, because the porta potties are expensive and
Mhm.
Yeah.
you gotta move them in and out every year.
And pump them,
and pump them.
and I
Pump
think
them
Eddie
regularly.
had to pump that, I think, twice a week, so it's being used a lot.
Well, that's indicative of
The need.
need for more
They're really
permanent.
going.
Yeah,
Have you seen his stool bus? Yeah, it just slays. That's just the best.
So the committee's gonna make a recommendation in an upcoming meeting and
That's
as
what
well,
it's so close.
yeah.
look into pricing?
No, he's gonna actually order one, because he's got,
Yeah.
he's got the money.
They're only gonna get more expensive.
Within the 2018.
What makes it-
Budget, 2018
Yeah,
budget.
yeah.
They didn't want to not spend money, they got it.
No.
And there's a bunch of little things, but that's pretty well it.
Nice.
It's a great update.
There's a lot of new signs being put up.
Yeah, they look awesome. Such an improvement over those brown ugly things.
What kind of sign?
They're
Trail,
Yeah.
beach,
Okay.
all those, the ones with the little animals.
Yes,
Like
okay.
some snails and,
Yeah.
you know, snails.
So when you say you remove trees from Corey and Buchanan, like, and getting back to the habitat trees, like, do you give any thought to leaving some of the trees as habitat?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Have you left any of them as
Yeah,
habitat?
oh yeah, yeah. In fact, Buchanan's got a lot of them. Fortunately, they're inside the trail. So that in the event that, a branch is gonna bust off, because they will, it's not gonna land on the trail. We removed half a dozen, I guess, trees in Buchanan Park that were just encroaching on the trail and leaning over it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they were, this big around, punky, rotten, and no bird holes in them. So, those ones came down.
Right.
And then in Quarry Park, there was just 3 alder trees that were still alive, but they were leaning at, a 25-degree angle over the trail.
Right. Sweet. Well, okay. So, Jeremy, you had something you wanted to?
Yeah, well, I'd sent a note to Sue Ellen. You can read, the gist of it is that it actually kind of arose out of, well, being down around Wolfgang's development at Seymour Bay, and then what's being developed at the first phase of Parkview Slopes by Tiernadock. And people had commented to me, and I've been thinking about it anyway, it was about the idea of, well, we all have this idea of nodal clustering, we understand what that means, it's about you're preserving more of the land around, but if you don't, but also it was the idea of having dendrites of green in developments rather than these huge swaths of cleared area. The people around below Tiernadock have noticed, bird life just is gone in their neighborhood because of that. The idea of maintaining, and I noticed personally in my own experience of clearing for views, it affects bird life primarily at first, you see it. The idea of continuity of, just of course people plant stuff and it does slowly come back, but there are there's endemic bird life that is part of, that gets displaced, I guess is my general idea. And about thinking about maintaining greenways within these nodal clusters. And then we always think, well, we've got parks around, those are pretty good. And they're great, but the idea of having maybe greater continuity. Certainly every time that there's a big swath cut out, the birds have to go somewhere. Where do they go? I'm lucky, I know I did some clearing. I know that swains and thrushes and western tanagers have been nested at the bottom of my property. Fortunately, I discovered the western tanagers are still there after my clearing.
Are they still there right now?
Yes, they are nesting. And they were coming up to eat some of my berries. So, but the Swainsons have moved away. They're stepping back from my property where I think as a result of the clearing I did. They've left the people who were on Rewcroft. As a result of the clearing back of them, they're not getting them in where they used to. They've moved or have moved off and away. So it was just the thought to start thinking about what do greenways mean in relation to the idea of nodal clustering. You just go in and clear these big swaths of nodes for houses. People, sure, they want sunlight, that's understandable, but those things need to, I don't know, we should maybe be thinking about that kind of stuff. I know in Sweden, they think about that when they do developments of having bands of greenways, dendrites of greenways within clusters of housing as well. So it's something to think about. At least to start a conversation about what would that look like? How do you articulate that? So it's a big issue to think about in one session, but maybe we should look at it. I've seen it. I see the effects of it. It's big. When they cleared it.
I know King Edward pretty well because we're in it, but certainly the part that's in the virgin forest, there's a lot of trees left.
Yeah, exactly.
And it probably does make for a nicer, certainly more privacy, something that people value as well as birds.
And I remember years ago when they cleared Caulfield for the expanding that whole area, it was like, I swear to God, there was a jump in bird population on Bowen. Because you think, where do they go? Where do they go? They have to go
They
somewhere.
moved across the water.
Well, yeah, or they get crowded, I don't know.
Yeah.
But if you maintain areas where they can live, even between my neighbors and myself, there's a band of firs that I've kept. And they're nesting, birds are nesting in them. Hummingbirds, cedar waxwings, I've had, and robins as well, and jays. And they're all nesting in this relatively narrow band. It's amazing. If it's there, they'll tend to use it, so. But when you have these huge swaths, I don't know if you've been around Tiernanog, but that's a big, I understand why they've done it. There's spectacular views there. It opens the sun, does all these things for their property development. But all the rest, there's nothing left, no footprint left of what was, sort of, I don't know how we recommend about that stuff, but it's maybe something we should be thinking about. I think nodal clustering is a great idea. It's what we should be doing to preserve other spaces, but we need to keep, I think, stuff in our own backyards.
I think the point you're trying to make is, instead of just clearing a lot before you know what's happening. And this is something we're gonna be talking about at the environmental committee meeting.
It's related to development conservation, that
Yes.
whole concept of development.
Yeah, I was thinking that this could be something to add in there,
Yeah.
as well as the idea of clustering the houses, but not just mowing everything down.
Yeah,
But something we brought up is, for instance, the new fire hall site, which we're all in favor of the fire hall, absolutely.
yeah.
To just go in and clear the lot before there's a plan in place.
That's a very special situation because they've got to need a lot of parking for the firemen. They need for vehicles and demonstrations, all kinds of stuff. That's a very special case. But there's certainly Parkview Slopes. It's going to be developed. It's near me personally. It's going to change the whole dynamic of wildlife,
Yeah.
bird life particularly around there. I don't know how well that's been thought through.
Right. Well, that's something we'll be addressing with the
Yeah.
environmental committee, so. But, yeah, I appreciate your thoughts. And I'm gonna wanna get a picture of a western tanager.
Yeah, but it's great. They've been nesting down there for.
I didn't know they still were either.
Yep. Surprisingly, they are. And they live also in the area of Parkview Slopes where they're gonna be ultimately be clearing, so.
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Others.
Information items, we've got the terms of reference. Can we just,
Oh, is that done?
That was more their
Make that
update.
Bob Robinson.
that was enough,
The
yeah.
reading of local work plan for 2019.
Well, we started one.
Yeah,
We're
I
gonna
noted
decide
a few
what-
things
what-
based on the discussion so far. And I know there's some things that are incomplete from the 2018 work plan that will probably carry over as long as.
So, okay, yeah, well, does
When
anyone,
it's just a small meet group of people without Sue Ellen and also other members,
Okay.
it would probably be revisited anyways.
Yeah.
To
Oh,
be
I see.
finalized, it's not gonna be finalized
Yeah.
today.
But we could put some ideas together and I can put it together in a document and then next meeting we could go through it again. So all the members have an opportunity to make comment on it.
well, I think one of the things we talked about was the waterfall route
Yeah.
trail.
Yeah.
Talked about that.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about the trail from Clarny Lake up to Hiker's Trail that was gonna be a joint
Oh, right.
municipal Crippen bits project.
Mhm.
It's multi-jurisdictional.
Right.
So we'd be interested in talking about that with the community about collaborating on that project. But I don't know if 2019 is the time for that.
It's just still on the
Why
list.
not?
Is it in there?
Put it on the list,
Yeah.
then, absolutely.
Yeah.
And sorry, that was between Clarny Lake and.
Hiker's Trail.
And Hiker's
Okay.
Trail, it's a new kind of access that goes up in, I think it was marked out last year as a possible trail. And,
It's never been
Scouted
flagged.
out.
Oh, it has been?
yeah, I think it has been flagged.
I know Bonnie went on a walk.
We did a walk. I wasn't on it, but I know that it was
Right.
done.
I'd like to check that out.
Yeah.
The other thing I had was the pit toilet location
Yes.
Yeah.
identification. Okay.
It is.
And maybe communications with invasive species, and getting public involvement on that.
Invasive species day.
It's in May, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't know if anybody's walked it yet, but John Reed's been doing a whole bunch of stuff around Grafton.
I have not walked down it.
I was on handlers through there, it's great.
Yeah, and he's linked it up to the Cross Island Trail. Even, I guess the plan is to completely have the trail go right the way around the lake. The west side is not linked up, although there's been some work done excavating the trail. In that section, there's some problematic areas once you get towards Grafton Road, because it's really swampy on the west side. all swamp. I don't know what the plan is there, but they've scratched out some parts that aren't joined
His
up.
plan is to put a couple of bridges in that swampy area.
You know, a really long bridge from what I can tell. That's,
But then isn't it trapped by private property? Has he made a deal with somebody?
Yeah, he had, I think with Aaron and the gang down there at the bottom.
it's a really good effort though. It's a pretty neat trail going on there. Yeah, they're gonna put a bridge across that creek that comes down off Mount Gardner
Mhm.
into the end of Grafton Lake. That can be a real torrent in there in the normal winter, yeah. Great trail.
So any other ideas for a work plan?
Oh, the renaming Pebbly Beach or Pebble Beach?
Yeah, I think that's been stymied by
Yeah, it
the
was the,
approaching the Squamish.
Yeah.
It's not really priority for them, but there's
Okay.
a sense that we'd like them to provide you, I think, isn't that?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Mm.
Has Bonnie been in communication? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I can look into that then and see what the status is of that.
Something that came up based on the conversation we were having about removing logs from Pebbly Beach is looking at logs on other beaches. I think it's an issue. And I know that the September warrant looks a lot better since they got that resolved. And I don't know if Bonnie mentioned this to you, but she said once that it's scheduled to have the federal fisheries or oceans people come and look at mooring buoys in Bowen Bay and King Edward Bay, just that get them more to follow the regulations, whatever. Like the trouble is that there's so many different jurisdictions, and I'm not sure that's our work plan. It's probably more their work plan, but she had said that once that they were going to do that this
Okay.
coming summer. That they had been scheduled. Or they scheduled it.
So summer 2019?
Yeah.
That was okay. I'll look into where that's at.
Yeah, because she's away now.
wish list time.
Anything else?
Well, you guys also kind of mentioned the non-formal trail accesses across the island. So I don't know if that's something you want to look into further about the possibility of linking those or
Or identifying. them.
identifying
Yeah, I
whether
think
it's, I
that's
don't know. Yeah.
The,
if they
the
would-
first
yeah.
part of that, I'm not sure exactly to the fall or what organization is best able to do that. I mean, a lot of us walk them, so we know. I guess I could throw something out on a map that is a first step, areas that are on a cadastral.
Yeah.
Where there are issues.
Nice.
That'd be
Am I writing
helpful.
this down? You're gonna
Are you?
throw something out, are you gonna
But there's another
Mark
thing.
them
So
out?
on the record, Jeremy?
Yeah, okay, I'll.
Indicate on a map possible access?
No, points of, where existing trails cross private lands. Points of, where there are issues, where they're not formal, not formalized, where they cross.
It's late.
Currently used trails, currently used but not
Cross-
but not officially
problematic areas.
recognized trails cross
Yeah.
public or private lands. But it's only gonna be a start, there'll be some areas that I'm probably not aware of.
Gotta start somewhere.
Have to keep quiet about it, though.
Yes, well, that's exactly, yeah. Although,
That's why I was
you can go,
stumbling.
all these trail apps you get, they show them. People are, plot them and they're all shared things. So these are in the public, the information about where they are is public, but not the sanction to.
Yeah, we just have to be careful with trespassing on people's properties.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why it's an issue.
There is the ongoing thing of identifying special places,
Yes.
and maybe this those two are somehow related, perhaps.
What did you guys mean by special places?
Just, places of special interest, if, you know, you might, there was Jeremy's the expert.
Yeah.
Well, one really obvious one is, there's an area of Crown Lands west of Hood Point West. There's a trail that the locals use all the time, for walk-arounds. And it's spectacular open forest with big Douglas firs. I mean, that's an area that should be, in some way or other, like, is of potential future interest to be flagged, that the community might, whether they acquire the lands or somehow preserve them. You could embellish that trail, doing a nice circuit in there, and it's really beautiful forest. It's open and it's big trees. That kind of thing, you know, where people know, I mean, there's some that are in the ecological reserve, I know of, but that those are already preserved. Not that the province couldn't suddenly say, no, we're gonna log this anyway, which they can. But any other areas like that people know of, that are neat.
Yeah.
Like one of the places that I like is in Headwaters Park. There's the trail, if you enter Headwaters Park from Sunset, you take this trail to the north. But there's a loop trail that takes you up to a little lookout.
Where is that?
In Headwaters Park. So you come off Sunset, you get to the kiosk, you take a left. And then, I don't know, maybe,
100 yards, 200
yeah,
yards.
there's a trail that goes up to the right and it loops around. But it takes you up, there's a nice, like I said, Douglas fir on an angle. Like, that's a nice special place. Like, that'd be a great place for a bench, I think.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, anything like that.
Yeah,
Maybe
just-
places
yeah,
that
just
Yeah.
places that people,
could be big trees, it could be lookouts,
yeah,
anything that might give
absolutely.
special
Always,
interest.
always be on the lookout for those things.
And when it's on Crown land, the idea being that we want to preserve it if anything were to come up, like you were saying.
Yeah, flag it as of importance, which is kind of like the Lee Creek area, which is really never been logged. And, you know, we're talking with Bits about the potential of someday building a trail through there as a footprint of, we're interested in this
Mhm.
area because it's unique and we don't want it to be desecrated by logging, which of course comes down to the whole logging.
But that's one of the things that the government says is when they look at somewhere to log, if it's being used for recreational uses, then they theoretically would not look to those places first if they're already being used.
Yeah.
So it's a good point.
Well, and I'm not sure how that works within the context of the municipality too. Maybe the municipality has greater, if they've identified it as a point of public interest.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything in the meeting.
You don't know any of these
Yeah.
things.
But if nothing else, if we identify these places to the public, then they know about it,
Yeah,
right? The more people who know about it, the more people who use it in an area, especially in Crown land, right?
yeah. And can write to complain if they want to log it.
So. Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll have more, we'll probably put it on the agenda for next meeting when we have more people hopefully here to work on.
Yeah, and I can make a draft
Yeah,
document
no,
with what
please.
we've said so far, and so that will
Yeah.
start a foundation, I guess, for next time.
For sure.
That's right.
Please do. Okay. How about Mr. Mayor?
What I'll do, Sarah, is I'll maybe put that on a cadastral and
That'd be awesome,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay then, so, information items, the terms of reference, excerpts from the minutes, read the doc file, anyone wanna read that? I don't know if anyone has any comment about that.
Are there changes in the terms of reference?
I think it's just like included.
Our terms of reference?
Yeah.
No, I just, if we're informing the work plan, I
Okay.
thought it'd be a good document to look at if we're thinking about work plan ideas.
Yeah.
What are the mandate, what's the mandate of the committee?
So it's just the same?
Yeah.
Not
Reference.
knowing about bylaw, I didn't know it changed.
It says revised up here, but we don't know.
Oh,
think it's
2014 it
I
says
think it's,
here.
yeah, it's always said revised.
Oh, because it used to be called Parks and Rec, didn't it? And then it changed over to Parks and.
Oh, could be.
Let's stop it.
Alright, so,
Can I, if we're gonna finish, can I just do go through the actions to make sure we're clear, and to be clear, when managers volunteer for actions, they're subject to the approval of the CAO. By the way, news, so.
You're looking at Bob?
Yeah, just, yeah, so, we're gonna be removing gravel in the Village Square Trail, adding a couple switchbacks and some signage. Yeah, is that right?
In the width of that right of way, is there room to do switchbacks?
Just at the very top,
Is there-
along the whole,
That's the only part that would need it,
yeah, where the stairs are.
Okay, yes.
Sarah's gonna be determining when the headwaters box study will be completed. Ian's gonna share information with Sarah regarding invasive gentlemen, and then you'll be following up with him regarding that. Bob's ordering a toilet, and you're gonna touch base with Squamish, naming of Pebble Beach. Volunteers, doodle pole, waterfall loop walk, indicate on the map, unofficial trails, and be prepared, everybody, for recommending toilet locations. It's a big job.
The big toilet location.
okay,
Well done.
thank you very much, Steph.
Thank you.
I think that's it. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Christie, you can stay. Seconded by Jeremy, thanks everyone.